Is February 24th, 2023. And I found out the name of this storm is the Pineapple Express.
All the way from Hawaii, huh?
Anyway, so today we're talking about your coming out process as part of the BE collection. So about what age were you when you decided that perhaps your direction was different than the heterosexual direction that you were raised with?
I don't know if I would call it deciding,
Mhm.
because it was just, like feelings
Mhm.
towards the female sex, the
Mhm.
men in general. And it's not like I didn't like the other side, but
Mhm.
whenever I looked at women, I was like, oh, and I think it was 6, 7.
Mhm.
And, of course, I had no idea what
What it meant.
it meant,
Yeah.
or if it was right or wrong.
Mhm.
I did know that, I was expected to grow up and have a husband and get the home and have the kids. And I always looked at that as like, if there's a line that says no, thank you very much, that's the one I want to
Mhm.
get in the back of. So there's always that. But I didn't see it as, oh, I'm this, I'm that. It was just, I really like this person.
It was more a gradual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my own experience of my own awareness or my attraction to the females was at 5. And as I'm listening to people now with their stories, it starts early, that awareness of your attraction. I didn't know what to call it. I knew I wasn't supposed to talk about it, but it was there when I was learning how to read. I was attracted to the nun who was teaching me because she had to bend over and her cleavage was right there. So I learned I'm a good reader.
Yeah, you're good. That's funny.
Yeah, I volunteer a lot. Those little chairs, and you're so small at
That's
5.
funny.
And
Yeah.
I was short anyway, so. But that awareness is early. And I couldn't remember anybody saying, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
But I knew to be quiet about it. So when did that change for you?
I don't quite remember. I do remember in high school it was very taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one young woman who was gay and out about it. And she was definitely persona non grata and bullied and harassed, and people played jokes on her.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I certainly don't want any of that. So I'm not saying,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Where did you go to high school?
Bishop Kennedy Memorial Girls Catholic School in Los Angeles.
Where was it?
In Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So there you find out pretty early, you probably shouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, well, it was more of a, people don't need to know
Mm-hmm.
my life or, my inner thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to pick and choose who I trust with who I really am, who I choose to be. And, once I thought that in my head, like, not everybody deserves to know the real Dora. It just became a little easier.
Uh-huh.
And thankfully, no one that I chose to trust ever disappointed me in that trust.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, thank you, I love you too.
Right. So when did you first decide to act on your feelings?
When I was 7.
See, there it is. But isn't it?
Well, it was just like, I want to play with her. I don't want to play with you guys.
Right.
And I did play with the boys and the girls, and the boys and the girls mixed together. And for me, it was like, I didn't want to play house. I didn't want to play with the dolls. I didn't want to make tacos with mud. I wanted to go and run and skip and jump and climb trees and eat all the terrific fruit at the top of the trees.
Mhm.
And then there was a game in Yucatan called Timbomba, which is kind of, the same idea of kick the can.
Right.
There was like a challenge and competition, and you came out on top. So I love playing that. I love playing marbles, like you draw the circle and you knock people out and you go home with 1,000 marbles, and then the next day you go and then you lose 900 marbles. It's for me, the winning of things wasn't the essential part. It was like being with people.
The people part.
Yeah.
So when did you move from the Yucatan to California?
From the Yucatan,
Yucatan.
we left and went to British Honduras first for 5 years.
Wow.
And then from there, my parents decided it was okay, but it wasn't working out the way they had anticipated. So then they made a decision to come north.
So I know you have a sister. Do you have other siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother, a sister, and then me. So there's three of us, and we're all 2 years apart.
Any other homosexuals in your family?
No.
No.
Which made it interesting.
Well, it is, yeah. They're evolving, I can tell you that. As I listen, it's happening slowly, but it's changing.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I was raised like 2 houses away from where lesbians lived, because there were 2 women living there and they had such a good time. They were in their backyard, they were doing somersaults, and just really enjoying their life together. It was pretty apparent. And I thought, wow, that looks like fun.
Yeah, and I was always drawn to that energy of
that's
living life and enjoying it, and not caring if you were different. And throughout different stages of my life, I always met women that were like that. And you're just drawn like a moth, you just want to go to that light and see what it's all about. And thankfully I never got burned. So but it taught me that you choose how you want to deal with yourself. You can be like ashamed or disappointed, or like you can go the negative side, or you can say, I am who I am, and that's got to be fabulous because there's nobody else like me. So
did your religion play a part in your developing sexuality?
No, I was raised Catholic, but I never embraced it. I went to Catholic school from, I think, 7th grade. And I had so many questions and arguments and the whole thing, it's like, take it on faith and believe everything. It's like, no, you have to convince me. You have to show me that.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but wait.
Right.
So, no, I felt the only thing that bugged me is that I wasn't going to be able to have the fancy wedding in the church with the music and the white dress and everybody coming down the aisle, because that was like a beautiful thing, and people celebrated weddings all the time, and I was like, okay, well, when what am I going to do when I have a wedding? It's going to be a little different,
right?
But I missed. It made me sad that I wasn't going to be able to do that for myself and for my mom and my other female relatives that they had their weddings and their life, and now they're looking forward to creating, designing, hosting. It was like, how do I tell you guys it's not going to happen? So, but that was my only set.
How did you?
How did I what?
Tell them.
Oh, oh my goodness. Well, the first thing I did was go as far as I could to college, 3,000 miles away, because I figured If I stayed home and went to like a local school, I would be living at home and I would never grow up or get to try things. So I went 3,000 miles away to Brown in Providence,
Really?
Rhode
Yeah.
Island. That
Right.
was not an island. And it snowed and it was like, oh my God. And there, you know, I was free to become whoever I wanted to be.
Mhm.
You know, like I changed my hairstyle, I got some different clothes. And then I went and I realized that no matter what I did, you know, if I chose different furniture or clothing or hairstyle, I was still me. So I ended up doing exactly the same thing that I always did, which was be me.
Mhm.
And so that was a nice lesson to learn early
It
on.
was, right.
And it was good to be free of having to worry, you know, if I came home at midnight, was my mom going to be up and asking, you know, where were you and what did you do? And so that was nice. And then I graduated college and came home and started helping her. And I got a girlfriend. And she was like, oh, you know, tell all your friends you're going to be busy for your birthday because I want to take you out for a special evening, blah, blah, blah. So I did. And then the day of my birthday, she called and she said, you know, I just realized that I'm an alcoholic and
Really?
yeah, and I don't need to be in a relationship right now. So I'm starting now and breaking it off. And I was like, what?
I know, I'm doing
My
that right
birthday?
now. This is my birthday. Wait a minute,
It was all about me. It was like, I'm sorry you're an alcoholic, but wait, what?
just put it aside for a night, right?
So I in you know, to my horror, I was like, well, can you wait till tomorrow? It's like,
Did you say that?
I did. And
Good.
later I was like, oh, that was really supportive.
And what'd she say to
um,
that? She said, no,
No, she said, you know,
my life, right?
I need to start now. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay. So
It's
that
nothing. Right.
broke my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
And to the
Happy
point where
birthday.
I couldn't even tie my shoes. I was just so devastated. You know,
Yeah.
I would look at my shoes and try to remember how to tie them, and I just couldn't.
Oh my gosh. How long
And
had you been connected?
we had been friends for years,
Uh,
and I had been watching her connect with other girlfriends. And you know, I always thought, well, it would be nice if, you know, we became girlfriends, and then
Yeah.
we did, and then we weren't, and so I was devastated. But I had to keep working and doing stuff. But so I was at work, and you know, I just like would just start crying out of the blue.
yeah,
And my mom was like, what is going on?
right.
And I'm like, nothing, don't worry about it. I just feel sad. And she finally grabbed my hand, took me outside out on the sidewalk in Los Feliz. And she's like, we're not doing anything until you tell me what is going on, you know. And I said, you know, I can't tell you. And she goes, you have to, you know, I want you to. And I was like, I can't tell you, you're going to hate me. No, I will never hate you. And we just went back and forth. And I finally just, you know, said, I'm depressed because my girlfriend just broke up with me. And yes, I'm gay. And I don't want to tell you because if you hate me, then that's going to be two horrible things that I have to deal with. And God bless my mother, even though I don't believe in God, but
We understand the expression.
yeah, so she was like, you are my daughter and I will always love you no matter what you do or don't do, or, you know. She goes, I'm against homosexuality. I think it's wrong. I think all the other people are wrong, but you and my daughter are fabulous. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And then we looked at each other and I felt like this wall had come crumbling down that was standing between us. It was the most incredibly beautiful feeling because it was like my mom and I were best friends. And yet there was this thing between us that I could never talk about. And to have her say, you know, you're my daughter and I will always love you, after I told her that I was gay, was like, wow. And with the wall gone, I just felt like we were that much closer.
Yeah.
And of course it was lunchtime and there was like 30 people in line. They're all like looking over going, what are you guys doing? And
Right. You were
so I
still
told
on-
my mom, I said,
You're
I
still
tell
on
you what,
Las Vegas Boulevard?
yeah, in the little hut that's behind me in the screen.
Uh,
So I said, look, there's a lot of people, we're making a scene here. Let's just go back in, finish work, and
uh,
after work, I'll come over to your house and we'll talk. And you can ask me any question you want, and nothing's off the table, and I will answer you honestly. And then if you never want to talk about it again, that's fine. The
Mhm.
fact that you love me no matter what is what's important to me. So we did that. I went home after work and we went into her bedroom and closed the door and we talked for hours and hours and hours and hours
really? Wow.
about every little detail of the past years and
Uh,
how I felt and what I had to do to try and keep this away from her because I would be disappointing her, and the whole thing about I'm sorry that I'm what is the word, depriving you and Tia of the joy of the whole white wedding thing. And she's like, oh my God, we can have white weddings for other people. So it was beautiful. And
Yeah.
ironically, the first question she asked me, which is the least question I expected her to ask me, was, and your friend, is she gay too? Because I played soccer, and so I had a bunch of soccer buddies, and I was best friends with one of them, and we did a lot of stuff together. And at the time I didn't know, so I was like, I honestly don't know. I know I love her and she loves me, and we have some of the best times, and we talk about everything under the sun, but somehow, whether we had girlfriends or boyfriends had never come up because it wasn't important to us in that relationship. So, and that was it. And
So did she know your lover? Did she know who your lover was, your mom?
yeah, she knew she had met her.
Uh-huh.
And of course she was the worst person ever in the world because she hurt her little girl.
Right.
Oh, and you know what? The night before, because I was like, I'm just gonna tell my mom.
Yeah.
The night before I told my sister, and she started crying, and I thought, oh my God, she's upset because I'm gay. and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I'm disappointing you. And she goes, no, I just feel bad because it's such a hard life, like you have to suffer to be who you are. And I felt so lucky because my sister and I were best friends also. So that was, the whole thing of, if I tell you, will I lose something that I treasure beyond measure?
Mhm.
And so that was what held me back. It wasn't like I was ashamed to be gay. I just didn't want to lose my family,
Yeah.
And the thought that I would, and even though everything showed that they wouldn't because of what I knew about them, there was always that little thing in the back of my head, it's like, what if they reject you? What if they throw you out? And it's like the hardest thing to do, but I'm really glad I did, because
I love that photograph that's in your business of you and your sister and your mom. It's such
yeah,
a beautiful
yeah,
photo.
we're the three amigas.
But it is, telling family is very, very difficult.
Mhm.
Very difficult.
Yeah. And it worked out. And then I told other people in my family. And now my my younger generations in the
Mhm.
family, they just take it for granted.
We were talking about that. It's really
Um,
huge. That's good.
it's like, I want you to meet Catherine. Oh, is this your life partner? And I'm like, yes. And then afterwards, like a few days later, I was talking to one of my relatives that was just very casual about it. And I said, I wasn't sure what the current attitude was in the Yucatan. And
Uh-huh.
she's like, we move forward with the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is just finding that this is normal. This is part, like every, like humans and animals, and everybody has like gay relatives,
Right.
and it's just part of the design of the world.
Of life.
Who are we to fight it, kind of thing. And it was just like very cool,
Mhm.
And a couple of my relatives I told, and they're like, oh, we knew. And I'm like, well, when did you know, and why didn't you tell me? And they're like, well, why didn't you tell me? I'm like,
Right.
okay, you got a point.
You just pass it on, right?
So and it all came down to trust and bravery, being brave enough to trust that the people you love are going to love you back,
Mhm.
and being lucky that they did, because not everybody does that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah, me too.
And that you can talk about it now. Here we go.
Yeah, I love telling the story of my mom. Is like, you're fabulous. Everybody else has got it all wrong. I'm like, okay, as long as I'm fabulous.
Perfect mother, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And she meant it.
She did. And I had other relatives, like I told one of them on the phone, and she said, if you were here right now, I would kill you. I would like get a gun and shoot you. And I said, well, that's why I'm calling you on the phone.
That's why I'm not getting that
Tell
phone.
you.
Right.
And then,
Did you ever see her after that?
well, what I said is, I know it's a lot to put on your plate. I know that you're going to be grieving the dreams you had for me. And I'm not going to contact you when you're ready. If you ever are,
Let me know.
then you call me, and I will drop what I'm
Yes.
doing, and I'll come over and we can talk. And
That's
if you never get to that point, then, I love you and it's been nice knowing you, but
Huh.
I am who I am.
Mhm.
And it took a while, but she
Mhm.
eventually called back, and
Is she?
now we're all family,
Right.
Yeah,
She obviously worked it through.
she did.
Yeah. Good for her.
And she still got her little sticking points, but it's like,
Well, when we don't understand something, it's hard to understand it.
or when you've been taught all your life that this is wrong, this will get you to hell, this will, you know, everything is negative. It's really hard to find somebody you love being in danger of losing their
Right.
eternal life, and so I could understand her
Mhm.
perspective, and the fact that she grew up in a very strict, this is good, this is bad,
Mhm.
you can't be in the middle, you have to choose sides. And I respected that, and I said, I'm another generation, and there will be generations after me that will probably accept things that I find hard to accept. So then it'll be my turn to be
Right.
liberal and accepting and open my eyes to different things.
That's one of the things I like about this project. We're archiving where we have come from, where we've been,
Mhm.
but we
And
understand.
looking to the future, like
That's right.
everybody's they or he, she, or
Mhm.
they're
What
choosing.
pronoun will I be?
Yeah, so
Right.
it's to me it's good. It's like, take people for the good they do, the love they share, and forget everything else. Who cares who they sleep with, what they do,
Right.
any of that.
Mhm. I wish them well, whatever they do. Right.
Mhm. Yes.
Well, that's a great story, Dora.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of it.
Right. I know.